Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hippocrates. How many of you are staying here tonight? Wow. And how many of you are staying off campus? And very good. Welcome. Well, I want you to look around and get to know each other because you're in amazing company. You're with some of the most wonderful people of the world. You're with people that are forward-thinking on how to get well without needles, knives, and drugs. And Hippocrates is one of the finest centers of the world to learn that and to heal and repair your body naturally without all these side effects. My name is Dr. Jensen, and I live in San Diego, California. I've known Brian and Anna Marie for many years, probably since the 80s, and Victoris Kolvinskas as well. I knew Ann Wigmore. She was a wonderful woman. My father-in-law was Dr. Bernard Jensen. Maybe some of you knew of him. And he was worked with iridology all over the world. He taught in over 50 countries, wrote over 50 books. So it was amazing that I got to study with him, and I've studied in many countries of the world, learning what I am going to teach you here tonight. And the reason I studied iridology, how many of you have heard of iridology? Great. It's the study of the iris of the eye and how we can look in the eyes to see how it connects to the different organs and glands of the body. And I started studying that because it's a non-invasive form of analysis without needles, knives, or drugs. When I was a little girl, I had scoliosis and my spine curved like an S. And so they put a 16-inch rod in my back at 11 years old. I wore a body cast for a year. And I grew up wondering how to help people without all this pain that I endured. So when I found the work of Dr. Bernard Jensen and Ann Wigmore and some of the early pioneers, I knew that was my path. I used to teach in public schools. I taught children with learning disabilities and gifted children. And I knew that they needed good nutrition as well. So that's why I've gone on to learn this work. So tonight we're going to learn about how to have vibrant health with iridology and nutrition. So iridology is the study of the color, the pigmentations, and the structure of the iris of the eye as they relate through reflex response to genetic strengths and deficiencies of the body systems, much like reflexology. How many of you have heard of reflexology? So when you work on the feet, there are nerves from all parts of the body. Each iris has 28,000 nerve endings that go to all parts of the body. The border of the pupil, the black hole in the iris, has a border. And that border connects to the optic nerve, the brain, and the spinal cord. And there are over 1 million nerves in the optic nerve that go through the spine out to all parts of the body. So this is in my office, and taking iris pictures with a special type of iris camera. And iridology is one of the finest methods to show the areas of weakness or deficiency in your body. There are basically two colors in the eyes. We have blue eyes and we have brown eyes, or a mixture of the two. So some of you may say, I have green eyes, I have hazel eyes. Many times that's a blue eye with just a few pigments in it, but we still consider it a blue eye. And the reason we look at colors of the eyes, colors tell us a great deal about a person's constitution. The blue-eyed people came from the cold regions of the world. The brown-eyed people came from the hot countries, where they needed more sunlight to protect them. So after questioning thousands of people with blue eyes, genetically they had carried certain traits down with them. And with brown eyes, they had carried other traits down with them. So this is a blue eye. And the blue-eyed people, and this is a mixed eye. And we call it mixed because we see fibers showing through, versus a brown eye, which has heavily pigmented anterior border layer. So I want to go back to these eyes for a minute. Blue-eyed people tend to have lymph congestion. Now, if you've studied at Hippocrates, you know that the lymph system are the clear fluids that line the eyes, the sinuses, the joints, the digestive tract. So blue-eyed people tend to have congestion in the lymph, sinus congestion, allergies, sore throats, aching joints. Genetically, when they eat a lot of wheat, milk, and sugar, they can get congested easier than other types. The mixed-eyed person genetically has inherited a tendency for digestive and liver disorders. The dark brown-eyed person has inherited blood anomalies, such as thick blood, thin blood, low blood sugar, high blood sugar, anemia, sickle cell anemia. Brown-eyed people have to work with their blood. In the history of iridology, Hippocrates was born in ancient Greece in 460 BC, known as the father of medicine, stated, "Behold the eyes, behold the body." So he always used the eyes to be able to tell a lot about the person's health. Bernard Jensen was a pioneer of iridology in the United States and nutrition. Bernard Jensen had tuberculosis as a young man, and he healed through nutrition. So then he went about teaching it to other people. The way the iris map came into being was after seeing hundreds of people with a marking right here in the left eye at 3 o'clock, and asking questions of people, and they all had heart problems, they drew a map of it. And after seeing hundreds of people with kidney problems, and they had markings here and here, they drew a map of it. So that's how the chart started coming about, was after seeing and working with hundreds of people. Other iridologists around the world were finding similar information. They found the brain at the top, the stomach and digestive tract in the middle, and the legs down at the bottom. And we found in many of the charts over the centuries that even though these people did not know each other, they did not have email connections back then, they found the same things. And then I added a lot of research to my chart, and I added color to my chart. So you're able to see the stomach in green, the intestinal tract in light brown, the blood zone in dark pink, the muscles in light pink, the bones in light gray, the skin in dark blue, the lung areas are in blue, the heart areas in red, and the glands and organs in purple. So it's easier for me to teach my students with color. So how can we stay healthy, feel good, and avoid pain? I think that's what everybody is searching for. How can we keep our children healthy and alert and attentive? What does it take to be a healthy person with clear, smooth skin and a bright smile? How can we be healthy in our older years? And that's something that many young people don't think about, and they abuse themselves throughout their lives. And by the end of their lives, they're very sick, and they have a lot of health problems. Illness comes when our bodies are stressed and toxic. So when people live in such a way that they live in areas of pollution, they're drinking polluted water, They're eating lots of fast foods, lots of hamburgers and fast foods with fats and grease. They're living in areas of toxicity and going through a lot of stress, maybe smoking and drinking. After a while, in their bodies, the liver starts breaking down. The lungs start breaking down. They feel tired and weak, and they wonder why. Well, they're not seeing what's going on in their beautiful organs from the inside. So what creates radiant health? Get adequate rest, sunshine, exercise, pure water. If you have a lot of chlorine in the water, that chlorine is not only going to kill bad bacteria, it's going to kill all your friendly bacteria in your intestinal tract. And your intestinal tract is 75% of your immune system. 75%. So if you kill it with drinking chlorine, you're going to be in trouble. Also, fluorine in the water. They're putting fluorine in the water because they say it protects the teeth, but it's killing the thyroid gland. It's causing hypothyroidism and lots of problems in the body. Whole natural living food. Now, we are made literally of the dust of the earth. We're made of the minerals and the chemical elements within the earth. That's what our bodies are made of. We're made of life force. And that's what Hippocrates is all about. It's eating the foods closest to the earth, closest to Mother Nature, with the live enzymes in them, the minerals and vitamins intact that haven't been cooked to death. So if we eat whole living food, exercise, sunshine, plenty of rest, and pure water, we're going to have a much healthier body. But it's also important to think happy thoughts. You can't have a happy stomach if you have sad thoughts. If you're angry all the time, you're going to be producing stress and acids in your stomach, no matter what you're eating. And we need to love what we do in life. We need to find what we love and do those things in life. So what creates radiant health? We literally are made of the dust of the earth. Breathe properly. Now I want to teach you a very valuable lesson about breathing. I call breathing the holy breath, because without the breath, we cannot live very few seconds. So what I'm going to have you do right now is place your hands over your abdomen and relax and close your eyes for a moment and feel your breathing. And just allow your abdomen to rise and fall. Slow, gentle breaths in through the nose and out through the nose, allowing the abdomen to rise and fall. Slow, gentle breathing. We should be breathing that way all the time. And if we're breathing shallow breaths when we get in a hurry, like that, we're producing acid in the body. We're producing stress. We're creating too much adrenaline, which produces acidity, which drains minerals from your bones and your joints. Creates acids in your stomach when you're under stress and breathing improperly, which can create ulcers. So breathing properly is ever so important. Wear clothes made with natural fibers. We want to wear cotton and silk and wool. That clothing is going to be more natural to your skin. Bernard Jensen said, nature will heal when given the opportunity. So if we're rushing and hurrying and eating poorly and stressing with many jobs, we are not giving nature an opportunity to heal us. We need to be living in rhythm, balance, and harmony, eating well, drinking good water, sleeping well, and being happy and connecting with the earth. In front of Dr. Jensen's office, there was a sign, and it said, "Hunger is cured by food, ignorance by study. You're looking for a good doctor, I'm looking for a good patient." What's important about that is most people think if they go to the doctor's going to give them a pill and they're going to be well. Or the doctor's going to cut it out and they're going to be all better. But we need to take responsibility for our health on a daily basis. And when I tell my clients they shouldn't even come to see me if they're not going to follow a good, healthy protocol and plan for their lives. Because what I give people is a way of life, a way to change life for health. And if they don't follow, it won't work. It's a waste of their time and my time. So you're looking for a good doctor. I'm looking for a good patient. With living foods and natural therapies, this was at Bernard Jensen's Hidden Valley Health Ranch, where I lived and worked for many years. It was 200 acres. People came from all over the world to get well. And when you do that, miracles can occur. I saw many miracles, and as I have in my past 25 years of practice. So we're going to talk a little bit about iris signs. Did you know that the eyes can tell us a great deal about the health of the body? And here we have the chart. And basically, as iridologists, we're taught and we learn how to look in the eyes as to see which areas have weaker problems there. So the eye's fibers, there are many fibers in the eyes, and that is called the structure. And when they're very, very tight fibers, these people, from questioning thousands of these people with very tight fibers like this, they tend to resist illness more easily. They tend to bounce back from illness if they do get sick more easily than people that have very loose and weak fibers. So if you have a cloth that's very tight, no water will go through. If you have cloth that's very loose, it leaks. So this is an eye with very tight fibers. They have strong resilience in most of the body except for the kidney area. And here we have the fibers separating, and where they're separating, it's becoming very dark. So they were born with a genetic tendency for kidney imbalance. And up here is the area of the parathyroid. The parathyroid manages how we hold minerals in the bone. If you have a weakness there, you need to really support it with seaweeds and take plenty of minerals, foods high in minerals, juices high in minerals, to keep your bones strong. This is an eye with very loose fibers. Can you see the difference? The fibers are really separated in this eye. And this person has large open fiber areas that in iridology we call lacuna. You can think of the word like a lake. The fibers are separated. The iris of the eye is developed by the 7th month of gestation in the womb. So these areas developed in the womb ahead of time because of genetics. And when we see this pattern here, because in iridology we know that we can see these pancreas areas deficient, they have a tendency for blood sugar disorders and diabetes. Also, if they have orange pigmentation, that's another sign of pancreas imbalance. Now we're going to look at specific body signs. It's important not to just look at the eyes, but also to look at the body. The body itself tells us a great deal about the person's health. We're going to look at iris signs, body systems, and food and nutrients for each body system. So the first body system that we're going to look at is the skin. The skin is the largest organ of elimination. And the main mineral element for the skin is silicon. Silicon is a mineral that we can find in many of the grasses. We can find it in what we call horsetail herb and oat straw tea. We can find it in much of the greens that we have on the salad bar. We can find it in the little pepperoncinos we have on the salad bar, high in silicon. The skin is the outer edge of the iris, our largest organ of elimination. And if a person has a darkening in that outer region, they have a tendency for acne, psoriasis, eczema, dry skin, oily skin, skin conditions. So when I see that in the iris of the eye, I talk with them about their skin. And we look at the skin and different problems going on with their skin. If I see a darkness in the digestive tract here, I see that they're not digesting as well as they should be. And when you're not digesting and releasing toxins through the bowel, it comes out on the skin. So to cleanse the bowel in this case would help the skin a lot. And then I look at these white areas, and that's the area of the lymph. And these types of people tend to have lymph node swelling. And the lymph nodes are located along the joints because the only thing that moves the lymph is exercise and brushing the skin. The heart moves the blood, but we can't move the lymph if we don't move our bodies. So if we get inflamed, stagnant lymph, we're going to have swollen lymph glands under here or under our arms or in our groins. We're going to have aching joints. We're going to have sore throats. Here's another dark skin area. This person has orange in their eye, which has to do with blood sugar imbalance. So the symptoms you look for on the body with the skin, when you see the sign for the skin in the eyes, you look for rashes, pimples, flaking, cracking, dry. I had a young woman that came to me recently, and she had psoriasis severely over her body. And I have found that many people that have psoriasis, it begins with a virus. And so when we get to the virus that can still be hidden in the body, causing a lot of problems, that can help the skin. Now, silicon is a mineral for the skin that helps to strengthen the skin. Oats have silicon. For example, horses that eat oats have very shiny fur, very shiny mane. So if you want to have good, strong hair, good, strong skin, good, strong fingernails, you need silicon. Cold-pressed flaxseed and borage oils help to give the skin the oils it needs. Enzymes will help make sure the oils are absorbed. So if a person has a problem with digestion, especially through the liver, even though they eat lots of oil, their skin will still be dry. So sometimes they need enzymes to help them absorb their oils and to do a liver cleanse like we do here at Hippocrates. Wear cotton clothing. Use natural soaps and lotions. Don't use soaps and lotions full of chemicals and dyes and perfumes. They're going to clog up the pores of your skin. Drink plenty of water. This was one of my clients, and she came to me when she was 35, and she had severe psoriasis over most of her body since she was 15, and it was cracking and bleeding. She got down on her knees every night and prayed for help. She finally found me, and we went to work with her, and in 6 months it was gone. And so what did we do with this lady? Avoiding wheat, gluten is very congesting for her digestive tract because she had had constipation most of her life. Avoiding dairy, which is very gluey and pasty. Dairy is high in casein that they make furniture glue with. So when you drink a lot of milk, and especially in this country, milk in the grocery stores only is required to be 11% milk and the rest fillers. With lots of hormones that were given to the cows. Lots of antibiotics were given to the cows. That's all going into your body. And so we have them give up dairy and sugar. Sugar is one of the biggest poisons on the planet. Sugar feeds bacteria, funguses, viruses in the body. Sugar disturbs your pancreas and can cause you to have diabetes or hypoglycemia. So she gave those up. She took lots of oat straw tea, wheatgrass juice, sprouts, soaked nuts and seeds, enzymes, cold-pressed oils, and she did cleansing like we do here at Hippocrates. She cleaned her colon with colon cleansing, wheatgrass juice implants. This young lady had a fungus around her mouth. Do you see that? How many of you have heard of ringworm? Well, that's what it was, ringworm around her mouth. Now, ringworm's not really a worm, it's a fungus. So we worked with her until that was gone. And I'm going to give you a little recommendation for ringworm in a moment. Ringworm, a fungus, highly contagious, looks like concentrated red circular rash, often raised and itches like crazy. So to help ringworm fungus, and the remedy is 8 drops of tea tree oil, 1/2 teaspoon of colloidal silver, 1 teaspoon powdered golden seal. You make a paste and you apply it to the area and keep it bandaged for 24 hours, and then you wash the area with tea tree oil soap. Then you rinse well, apply the paste and bandage again. With persistence, the fungus or ringworm will leave in 1 to 2 weeks. Now, if you go to the doctor, they're going to give you a cortisone cream. And the cortisone cream is only going to push it in, and it's going to come back, and come back, and come back. This is a true healing that gets down to the root of the fungus and kills it. But if you're eating sugar, you're feeding it from the inside, so it will come back. So be persistent with this and use a clean towel daily and change your clothing daily. Another symptom on the skin is acne. Avoid coffee, sodas, bad fats. Coffee is high in oils. It's very acidic. Sodas have 10-12 teaspoons of sugar in each one. And if there's artificial sweeteners in a soda, that's even worse, because it's aspartame, and research has linked aspartame to multiple sclerosis. Aspartame burns the nerves up in the body. Apply wheatgrass juice to acne. Golden seal masks, like the one I just gave you with golden seal, colloidal silver, tea tree oil. That will help get rid of acne. Vitamin E and evening primrose oil. especially if it's acne during puberty, or if it's acne in a woman around menstruation. There's a hormonal imbalance, and vitamin E and evening primrose oil help with the balance of the hormones. And cleaning the liver is most important because the liver processes the hormones. Oat straw tea and horsetail herb for the skin. Ginger tea and saunas help the skin to sweat out poisons. Fresh air and sunshine, cleansing the body. We use skin brushing, and we need to brush our skin in a special way. Some of you at Hippocrates have heard of Lymph Linda. She does a wonderful job with teaching skin brushing with either a brush or a towel, but you want to make sure it's natural fibers. And you want to start down here, dry, before your shower, and brush your skin toward your heart, because the lymph dumps out below the heart. And the lymph dumps out in the lymph nodes here. So brush this way. Brush from the bottoms of your feet all the way up toward your heart. Then brush down from your back, down around and back up. So brush your body always toward this dumping point. And you'll release 1 or 2 pounds of toxins a day out of the skin. Every organ of elimination, which is the skin, the lungs, the bowels, and the kidneys, should release 1 or 2 pounds a day. Imagine. This is oat straw, Avena sativa, very high in silicon. You can make a tea with it. This is horsetail, very high in silicon for the skin, hair, and fingernails. Yarrow is a wonderful herb plant that helps the body to sweat. So if you have yarrow tea, it helps you sweat. Especially if you have skin problems, you need to sweat out through the pores and clean them. Or if you have a high fever, it will help you sweat out the fever. Our next organ of elimination that we're going to discuss here tonight are the lungs and respiratory system. The main mineral element of the lungs is iron, and the main element is oxygen. Iron and oxygen work together. We call them frisky horses that dance together. Without iron, we don't hold oxygen. Without oxygen, we don't hold iron. So if you're not getting plenty of exercise outside and sunshine, the whites of your eyes will start turning blue. And with a lack of oxygen, you'll start being very tired because every cell of the body needs oxygen. Where there's no oxygen in the body, there can be pain. So proper breathing is important to get good oxygen. And the element iron. These are the little bronchioles, or the passages in the lungs. Now, when people smoke, that thick black tar and nicotine clogs up all these areas. And that's why they end up getting lung cancer or emphysema. These are the sinuses, part of the respiratory system. The sinuses in the iris are represented here, and the lungs here in the left iris. So in this eye, this is a left eye, so we have a weakness in the lung area and in the sinus area. We also have a weakness in the medulla, which is the lower part of the brain that manages the lungs. The medulla in the brain has a lot to do with our breathing as well as our heartbeat. This is an opening, a weakness in the lungs in the right iris. And we have right here a lymph sign. It's called a tophi, or a collagen bundle. And when we have those in the lung areas, there's often a genetic history of tuberculosis, according to our studies. And so working with the lungs is very important, especially if you've inherited a weak lung like this person. Symptoms to look for in lung problems are very shallow breathing, hunched shoulders, dry or wet cough. Balancing the respiratory system, the breathing I taught you is essential. Getting oxygen from fresh air, iron from dark green vegetables. Wheatgrass juice is one of the highest things in natural iron to build the blood, as well as chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is almost identical to our blood, except for the hemoglobin factor. Avoid smoking or breathing secondhand smoke. Balancing the respiratory system with lemons, garlic, onions, turnips, and radishes. All of these clean the lungs. They clean the mucus out of the lungs. So if you have lung congestion, these are wonderful. And if a person has pneumonia, bronchitis, bake the onions, make a poultice, and put it on the chest. It helps draw out the toxins. Wheatgrass juice is wonderful for the lungs. Lobelia used in small amounts. Now remember, with herbs, we only use them for a short time medicinally until the person gets well. But lobelia can help stop an asthma attack. I've even used it with dogs to stop an asthma attack. Warm salt water cleanses the sinuses. Colloidal silver may help relieve sinus and lung infection. One of my favorite herbs for the lungs is elderberry. Elderberry works really well when you have lung and bronchial disorders. Turnips, great for cleaning out mucus. Echinacea is another one that boosts immunity for the respiratory system. Mullein. When I was a child, I found a mullein plant on my family's farm in North Carolina, and it was as tall as me. And it had soft, furry leaves, and I thought surely it was from another planet. Not to mention, I thought I had discovered it and that no one else had ever seen anything like that. Well, we know that we have mullein in lots of parts of the country, and we use it as a tea. And when you drink mullein tea, you're going to cough up lots of mucus. You're going to blow it out of your nose. The kidneys and the urinary tract. The kidneys are amazing. You can see all of these little tubules in the kidneys, thousands of them, and they're right here in your back. And the main mineral element for the kidneys is potassium. The other one I like for the kidneys is magnesium. So the kidneys in the iris are located here in the left iris. Look at this kidney area. They have a lot of other deficiencies, especially in the digestive tract. So if you have more than one organ of elimination weakened, you really have to work with all the organs of elimination so they can help one another. So symptoms to look for with kidney problems: lower back pain, burning, urination, swollen ankles, wrists, and joints. Because when the kidneys aren't eliminating the fluid, it's going to swell up in your ankles, wrists, and joints. High blood pressure. When your kidneys aren't eliminating, the fluid builds up in the body, and the heart has to pump harder, and the blood pressure goes up. So when I let people have enough magnesium for the kidneys and to relax the body, the blood pressure often comes down. Bloating. When you are bloated, many times you have too much fluid in your body. You can be bloated anywhere. Blood in the urine is another sign. A very bright blood in the urine is not as serious as a very dark blood in the urine. Dark blood means that it's been there for a long time. Stones in the kidneys. People can form kidney stones, especially if they are taking a lot of cow's milk with hardened calcium crystals and not getting enough of your raw vegetable juices. Dark circles under the eyes can also be a sign of kidneys not functioning properly. Now, stones in the kidneys also can be caused by drinking a lot of sodas, drinking a lot of coffee, because the acid pulls calcium out of the bones. And where does it go? In the kidneys. So we've got to really work on the fluids we're putting in our bodies for our kidneys. To balance the chemistry of the urinary tract, pure water. Water is one of the most alkalinizing things we can drink. Raw vegetable juices alkalinize the body. And for the kidneys, my favorite juices are parsley juice and celery juice. Watermelon rind juice flushes out the kidneys. Uva ursi is an herb that when you have kidney and bladder or urinary tract infections, uva ursi keeps the bacteria from adhering to the walls of the kidney or bladder and takes it right out. Juniper berry strengthens the kidneys, and these can be made into teas. Balancing the chemistry of the urinary tract, probiotics help bring the kidneys back to health. Beneficial foods, sunflower sprouts, asparagus, celery, garlic. Garlic is one of the most powerful antibiotics in nature. Castor oil packs on the kidneys. How many of you have heard of castor oil packs? Castor oil packs you get castor oil, you warm it in a little pan, you dip a cotton or wool flannel cloth in the oil and lay it over the affected area. Then you put plastic to make it soak in, a towel, and you can lie on a hot water bottle. Castor oil packs, the oil soaks in and helps relieve the pain and dissolve the stones. Parsley is very high in potassium, very great for strengthening the kidneys and bladder. It's a natural diuretic if a person's swollen. Marshmallow root. If a person has infection, pain, or kidney stones in the kidneys, any pain of any kind, I use marshmallow root. It's very soothing and slippery and balancing for the kidneys. Organic, non-GMO corn silk can be made into a soothing tea. Very soothing for those little tubes in the kidneys. Small amounts of fresh cranberries can be used medicinally to get rid of a urinary tract infection. Pomegranates can be helpful with kidney infections. Raw apples and garlic are high in potassium and can help dissolve stones. So here on the Liver Cleanse, we eat a lot of apples and garlic. And they help dissolve stones in the kidneys. Lemon and lime juice and water can help dissolve stones. Hydrangea and gravel root are herbs that have been known to help dissolve stones. The digestive system, another organ of elimination. The digestive system has the esophagus, it starts in the mouth. Chewing is number one with digestion. You should chew each bite 25 times, slowly. And then the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, the small intestine, and then the large intestine. We have 25 feet of small intestine and around 6 feet of large intestine. So the colon, through reflex response, connects to all parts of the body. So there are nerves that go from the colon, and the blood goes into the colon and out to the body through osmosis. and it will pick up either nutrition or toxins or whatever's there and carry it to other parts of the body. So we want to make sure that what's in our colon is good, because otherwise you're going to get brain fog or you're going to get cramps in other parts of the body. Even sciatica, pain in the leg, can come from a huge congestion in the bowel pressing on a nerve going down the leg. The digestive system in the iris is located in this area. And then we also have the mouth, the pharynx, the esophagus, and we have the stomach area, the intestinal tract, and we have the pancreas, the gallbladder, the pancreas, the liver. So when we see an iris like this, and I taught my students today in class that this is zone number 1. That's the zone of the stomach, is reflected here. And that donut shape there is a muscle underneath the iris, fibers called the sphincter muscle. And when we can see it shining through, that means the fibers are so thin that we can see it. So when the fibers are thin in an area, there's more deficiency, there's more weakness. And when the intestinal tract is stretched out like this, when it's square, it's affecting the pancreas and the immune system. And when it balloons out into certain areas, it affects those organs. For example, in this area, it would affect the back, the spine, and up here it would affect the ears. So if a person had ear infections all the time and they kept going to the doctor for antibiotics and the problem was in the bowel, seeping toxins to the ears, you're never going to get well until you cleanse your colon. Here's another example of the digestive tract having big openings and inherited weakness. This is in the area of the cecum, which is right here. And this is the area where parasites like to live, in this big cecum. Now, the small intestine empties into the large intestine right here. And we have, where it empties, the ileocecal valve. So if everybody will put their fingers right here, just inside your right hip, and you pull up toward your left shoulder, you're going to help open your ileocecal valve. If you're constipated, it's more than likely closed. So when we open it, it can help the bowels work better. If you have pain on this side, it could be a congested ileocecal valve. Okay. This is an X-ray of diverticulitis, inflamed bowel pockets, and a prolapsed colon, prolapsed transverse colon. So this person has a lot of problems with their bowel. So when we see a white ring here, that's a sign of acidity in the stomach. White or light fibers in the eyes mean inflammation, possible acidity. So right here in the stomach area. So in that case, when there's an overactive stomach condition, they could have ulcers, they could have gastric esophageal reflux or GERD. They could have burping, burning, all kinds of problems. One of the best things for this is cabbage juice and staying away from sodas and coffee to burn the stomach. So with the digestive system, the symptoms in the body are either constipation or diarrhea, a distended abdomen where they're bloated, When the colon is severely impacted with fecal matter, it will be very bloated. And sometimes it can impact for years. And when I worked for Bernard Jensen, when we cleaned people's colons, you would be amazed at all the things we saw released. Worms, pennies, popcorn, things that hadn't digested for years. Abdominal cramping, bloating, and gas, stomach aches, blood in the stools. Again, bright blood is probably a hemorrhoid near the rectum. Dark blood is a problem way high up and it's much more serious. A tongue will be heavily coated in the back when the digestive tract is toxic. So you'll see something that looks like buttermilk on the tongue. And acid reflux is another symptom. All yellow foods are high in magnesium. So your yellow squashes are very high in magnesium. People with stomach problems should eat a lot of squash, all kinds of squashes, and pumpkin. Sprouts chewed well with olive or pumpkin seed oil help to relieve constipation. So if you get that fiber going and chew it up with some oil in it, it makes the slippery bolus that goes through and cleans the colon. Enzymes help with digestion. Living foods are high in enzymes that help with digestion. And I know if you've stayed here for a while, you've noticed an improvement in your digestion. Probiotics supply friendly bacteria, and that's our sauerkraut that we serve here. Sauerkraut is very high in probiotics. Beets, very great for relieving constipation because they help open the liver pathways. Okra is slippery and soothing to the digestive tract. So if you have diverticulitis, if you have a burning stomach in any way, we want okra. It's great. Now this is a simple home Candida test that you can do. Candida albicans are a fungus that grow naturally in the intestinal tract. But when we've had too much sugar, too many antibiotics, they grow prolifically and they bore holes through the intestinal tract and move out into the body. They can cause brain fog, they can cause aching joints, they can cause all kinds of bloating and belching. So in the morning, the very first thing in the morning, you want to spit in a clear glass of water. And check it every 15 minutes for 1 hour. When you spit, it's before you eat, drink, or brush your teeth. And look at it and see if it forms legs or streamers or sinks to the bottom. If it does, you have fungus. If it floats free on top, you're fine. So check your saliva. And I have people check it for 6 days in a row to get an average. And then I put them on a program and have them check it again in 30 days. Sometimes it takes 90 days on a real strict program to really get rid of too much Candida in the body. This is a slanting board, and we can lie at a slant. And this is a wonderful exercise to help get a prolapsed colon up off the other organs. Because when your colon is prolapsed, in women, it's pressing on the ovaries and the uterus and causes severe menstrual cramping. And it causes constipation. In men, it presses on the prostate and can end up creating prostate cancer because of all the toxicity there. So we want to lie on a slanting board. And I use tennis balls. These are my smiley face tennis balls. And while you're lying on your slanting board, you want to massage from the right side up, over, and down, the way the peristalsis goes. From the lower right side, up, over and down. And if you do that while you're at a slant, that's going to help your colon. It's going to exercise it and work it to help it come back into place and help it to have better peristalsis. Flax seeds. How many know about flax seeds? Now, you can't buy these in a tea bag. You have to buy the seeds. And you can make a wonderful tea with flax seeds. Just soak the seeds. And you can pour warm water over them, and the next morning they'll be very thick and mucilaginous, very slippery and soothing for the digestive tract. Aloe vera is very soothing for the digestive tract. These are your squashes, high in magnesium, great for digestion. Cabbages. I cannot stress enough, when I worked in the clinics in Europe, the health centers, we used cabbage juice to help ulcers. We also blended cabbage with a little bit of ginger and raw apple cider vinegar and made poultices for varicose veins. You can lay that mush on the veins and wrap them with saran wrap so it soaks in, and have them lie at night with their legs elevated. Cabbage is high in bioflavonoids that strengthen connective tissue. Apples are high in pectin that helps assure good bowel movements and helps prevent diverticuli from forming. Melons, especially watermelon, often relieve constipation. But if you have Candida, I stay away from the sweet fruits or the sweet melons. But sometimes it can help with constipation, or just juicing the rind of the melon can be helpful. As well as papayas can be soothing to the intestinal tract. The liver. Now, the liver is one of our most important organs. We cannot live without our liver. And the great thing about the liver is it regenerates quite well when we work on it. A person can have half their liver taken out due to a problem with the liver, and it will grow back if you take care of it. So the liver has 11 pathways through it. It processes fats, it processes chemicals, it processes sugar and foods. It processes all kinds of things, hormones that go through the liver. And when these pathways get all clogged up, it can get clogged up even with lots of sodas that form a thick slime in the liver, or chocolate milk that forms thick, heavy congestion in the liver. Lots of white flour. So when we clog up our liver for long periods of time, we get gallstones because it backs up into the gallbladder. We get liver stones even. And then we have problems with sleeping at night. Did you know that the liver processes between 3 a.m. and 12 noon? So if you eat a big heavy breakfast with bacon and eggs and sausage and toast and jam and jelly and butter, you are clogging up your liver. You want to have raw juice in the morning. And in the morning when you have that raw juice, it helps that liver continue to cleanse. So when we see a marking in the liver area and we see a big blob of fat in the whites of the eyes, this is called a pinguecula. And I tell my students to think of a little penguin under the snow there. That's how you think of pinguecula. But when we see that fat there, it means the liver is not processing fats properly. And over here we see yellow. When the sclera becomes yellow, there's jaundice. And that means the liver is not processing and bile is going out into the body. This is fat in the eye. And we have what's called a cornea, which is like a clear dome over the iris. and it fills in with fat when the body is getting lots of cholesterol. So we call this a cholesterol ring. Ophthalmologists call it corneal opacity or corneal arcus. And they've even researched now that it has to do with cholesterol. When fat builds in the cornea, it's difficult to see anything in the iris underneath. When we have big brown pigments, it has to do with liver imbalance. Also, we can get big brown pigments on the skin, liver imbalance. So the symptoms to look for with liver problems: yellow skin, the whole body can become jaundice, brown patches on the skin, and brown patches in the whites of the eyes. The liver area may be swollen and painful. The person may be over or underweight because it's not processing fat. They may have a lot of problems with bloating, premenstrual cramping and irritability, hot flashes during menopause because the liver processes hormones. The liver processes fats. So things to avoid to help your liver are plastic bottles. Xenoestrogens are in plastic bottles, and they can be absorbed from those plastic bottles, especially if you leave a bottle of plastic water in the sun. Margarine, caffeine, nicotine, sugar, gluten, pesticides, dairy products with hormones, chicken and beef with hormones keep the liver from processing estrogens or other things properly. So if you have a young woman having severe menstrual pain, we need to cleanse the liver. If you have somebody with hot flashes, we need to cleanse the liver. Alcohol, heavy metals, chemicals, and drugs are harmful to the liver. Now, what helps the liver process hormones and other things are bitter greens such as kale, spinach, parsley, chard, beet tops, collards, mustard greens, turnip greens, wheatgrass juice. Those all scrub the liver and clean it. Dark greens, dark cherries, dark beets are all high in iron if you're anemic. Now, one way to tell if the body is anemic is when you pull the eyelid down and look on the inside of the lower eyelid. If it's really white, that person is anemic. And it needs to have red blood vessels all in there. And when people are severely anemic, they get to the point where they can't breathe because oxygen follows iron. And the liver is what processes the iron. Olive oil and lemon juice help to clean the liver. B vitamins, vitamin E, evening primrose oil, calcium, magnesium, and enzymes all help a lot with menstrual cramping. Lecithin, that's found in raw soaked nuts and seeds, cleans the liver. Cold-pressed oils and fiber help to lower cholesterol. Dark grapes with the seeds provide a source of iron for the liver, but again, if you have Candida, we want to stay away from fruit. Sprouted seeds, like we have sprouted seeds on the salad bar here. Very high in protein, very cleansing for the liver. Dandelion leaves we also have here on the salad bar. Very dark green leaves flush out the liver. Milk thistle is very supportive and helps support healthy liver function. The gallbladder. The gallbladder is tucked up here underneath the liver, and it is its job to store the bile and dump it into the stomach when it needs it for digestion. So what happens when people drink a lot of sodas? It starts hardening into stones in the gallbladder. Also, cake icing is very thick with fats and grease and sugar. And that can harden into stones in the gallbladder. A lot of people eat a lot of cake icing, especially if they're cake decorators or if they like cake. I'm talking about a young woman I worked with that got stones at 28 years old, and she was a cake decorator. But we got rid of her stones with the natural liver cleanse. They were going to take out her gallbladder. And so she came to see me, and I helped her work through and save her gallbladder. So the main mineral for the gallbladder is natural sodium. So what's the difference between natural sodium and regular table salt? When plants sit on the earth, they absorb minerals and transmute it to a form that we can utilize. So, for example, celery juice is very high in natural sodium. Natural sodium helps dissolve minerals, mineral deposits, and puts it back in the bone. When you taste your tears, they're salty. Have you ever tasted your tears? They're salty. That's lymph. The highest mineral element in the clear fluids of the body is natural sodium. And that lines the bones. And that natural sodium is what holds calcium in the bone. And the number one element burned up under stress is sodium. So when you're under a lot of stress, you're producing acids, burning up the sodium, pulling calcium out of the bone, depositing in the gallbladder. There's the gallbladder area right there. So symptoms to look for with the gallbladder are nausea, burping, abdominal pain, and they can have gallstones. To balance the gallbladder, organic sodium from celery juice and dark leafy greens, fenugreek sprouts, apples and garlic, hydrangea and gravel root teas help dissolve gallstones, as well as olive oil and fresh lemon juice. Here are some gallstones I help people release. They're as large as a dime. I've seen them larger. And they come out through the stool when you do liver gallbladder cleansing. They weren't removed by surgery. They're removed with cleansing. And if you go on juices for 2 weeks and then do the apple and garlic for several days, you're going to get some of these things out. Lemons and lemon juice help dissolve gallstones. Hydrangea root tea, also a natural diuretic. The next organ we're going to discuss is the pancreas. The pancreas is responsible for insulin in the body. And insulin is what processes our sugar. The pancreas is right here. The pancreas also is high in pancreatin, which helps with digestion. So the pancreas is located here in the iris, and it's located here, 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 and here, but the main area is in the right eye at 8 o'clock. The main mineral element of the pancreas is chromium. Chromium helps balance the pancreas. Nuts and seeds are high in chromium. Here's the pancreas area. And when there's a separation there, there's a genetic weakness there. So, diabetes in the family. And if you can counsel children way ahead of time and parents to help them prevent what's in their genetics, that's what iridology is for. Here's an orange pigment. Orange means pancreas imbalance. Where the liver produces a pigment that's brown in the eyes, the pancreas produces an orange pigment. Pancreas, this lady craves sweets a lot. She has a very strong constitution. For the most part, the fibers are very tight. These rings represent stress in the body and tension. We call these stress rings or contraction furrows. They represent a very intense person. This is the adrenal gland area. Very dark digestive zone. And a pancreas weakness. Symptoms to look for: craving sweets, lightheaded, dizzy, hunger. Avoid sugar, grains, gluten, caffeine, nicotine. Now, why do we need to avoid coffee to help the pancreas? Because caffeine not only kicks the adrenals to produce too much adrenaline, and when that adrenaline's coming out, then it kicks the pancreas to produce too much insulin. And then the insulin gobbles up all your blood sugar, and people that drink coffee for breakfast are starved by 10 o'clock and are ready for a donut. So caffeine can drop your blood sugar very fast because it hits the adrenals and then hits the pancreas. People that drink coffee can gain weight quite easily because they're going to start craving sweets. Nicotine will do the same to the adrenal glands and the pancreas. So to balance the pancreas, we want to eat small meals throughout the day, soaked nuts and seeds. I like to soak almonds and blend them up and keep them in the refrigerator. That makes a nice almond cream for a snack. Or sometimes I soak sunflower seeds or sesame seeds and blend them. Greens and green juices help balance the pH. Soaked nuts and seeds, bean sprouts, raw vegetables. Jicama and Jerusalem artichokes are high in inulin that balance blood sugar. This program here, I have seen it turn around diabetes, both type 1 and type 2. Following this program here, people are able to get off insulin. So it's an amazing plan here, balanced with all the nutrition that you need, and it alkalinizes the acids in the body. To balance the pancreas, chromium comes in nuts and seeds and bean sprouts. Enzymes are important. Soaked flax and chia seeds can be helpful. Just grind them up. Liquid trace minerals, herbs, licorice root helps to balance the pancreas. Dandelion leaf and root, huckleberry leaf. These can be taken in tea form. I've seen licorice root tea here. Now, if you have high blood pressure, it's not recommended to take licorice root because licorice root kind of gives you a little bit of energy to your adrenal glands, and it may stimulate blood pressure a little bit. But if you have low blood pressure, cold hands and feet, poor circulation, licorice root is wonderful. One of the finest herbs, some of the finest herbs with natural insulin is Gymnema sylvestre from India and bitter gourd or bitter melon. So some of my clients from India actually steam the bitter gourd and eat it, and that balances the insulin levels. Replace sweet foods with the sweet things in life. Now, how about that? Some people that are craving sweets are actually craving sweet things in life. So if you make a list of all the things you love that excite you, that make you happy, and put them on the refrigerator, and next time you crave sweets, go do one of those things instead of eating that sugar. And you know what? After you do that, you won't want that sugar anymore. Because the pancreas represents the sweet things of life. So when you fulfill yourself that way, you're not going to want that sugar anymore. Now, to test for your pH, we want to make sure our bodies are not acidic, because when they're acidic, we can have all kinds of health problems, including diabetes. We can have, when we're acidic, pull calcium out of the bone. So also, cancer cannot live in an alkaline environment of the body. So we want to keep our bodies on the alkaline level. So to test for pH, you want to get some pH strips or litmus strips from your health food store. And first thing in the morning, before you eat, drink, or brush your teeth, just spit and dip the strip in the saliva, and it will turn a color. And there will be a chart with the strips that tell you whether it's acid or alkaline. And then you'll write the number down and chart it for 6 days in a row. So I have people test their first morning saliva, their first morning urine, and then have some raw juice for breakfast, and then test again. If it becomes more alkaline after their raw juice, that's very good. But if it stays acidic, it shows me they don't even have any alkaline reserves. Okay, so we want to test the saliva and the urine, and we want that pH to be between 6.8 and 7.2 in the saliva and the urine, a neutral pH of about 7. So we want to avoid refined sugar. It turns acidic in the body. It feeds bacteria, funguses, and viruses. It clogs up the liver. It clogs up the sinuses. It causes all kinds of problems. This is sugar cane down in Costa Rica. I had the opportunity to eat raw sugar cane. Now, when you eat raw sugar cane, it's like eating an apple. It's a whole food. So God and nature have put inside that sugar cane all the nutrition and fiber you need to process that natural sugar. But what mankind has done is they have taken all the nutrition away, all the fiber away, and they have pulverized it and blended it into a refined white powder. So there's nothing left but sugar. So when you get that straight hit of sugar, it's like a drug in the body. Licorice root. I chew licorice root sometimes when I'm hiking. Keeps your blood sugar balanced. Take time to enjoy the sweet things of life. I enjoy kayaking. What do you enjoy? You want to find things you really love. The heart. The main mineral elements are potassium and magnesium. Your heart will not pump without those two minerals. This is an area 3 o'clock in the left eye of the heart. Here. Here. So, symptoms to look for with your heart. If you have a rapid pulse, when you take your pulse, if it's over 100 beats per minute, or a very slow pulse below 50 beats per minute, so if you just count your pulse for 1 minute, or you can take it for 15 seconds and multiply by 4, you'll have the amount of beats per minute. So that's an imbalance with your heart if it's high or if it's low. A bright red vessel on the nose. When I was in Australia teaching, when they had a bright bulbous red nose, they called it a grog blossom because they drank lots of grog to get it, lots of alcohol. Or a red face, lots of red vessels on the face. Lots of vessels, red vessels in the whites of the eyes. Clubbed fingernails when the fingernails are bent down. Swollen hands, wrists, and ankles. A scalloped tongue. A damp body, cracked tongue. A dry body. So if your tongue looks like somebody bit little bites off the side of it, it means your body is damp. And you have too much moisture. And if you have a very cracked tongue, that means you're not getting enough water. Now, we're going to all do this together. You want to drop your hand down by your side. What will happen is the veins will swell. And bring your hand back to your heart, and the veins should go down. If the veins don't go down, there could be a heart problem. Because normally, when it's down here, you're getting lots of blood that way and here. But if it doesn't go down, your heart's not pumping properly. Now, to balance the heart with food, you need foods high in potassium. Leafy greens, potato peeling broth. You can peel a potato and soak it in water overnight and drink the broth. Apples, sunflower sprouts, foods high in magnesium or the squashes and almonds. Hawthorn berry herbal tea strengthens the heart. Vitamin E in soaked nuts and seeds helps the heart. Garlic and ginger and cayenne help the circulation. If a person's having a lot of pain in the chest, to drink water with cayenne can help save a person's heart from having a heart attack. When you take cayenne and put it in olive oil and rub it on the chest, it can help prevent a heart attack until you can get them to the hospital. Bromelain from pineapples is an enzyme that works if the blood is too thick or blood clotting. Bromelain helps. I don't believe in aspirin, but they can use bromelain. Anti-inflammatory things that help the heart. Bromelain is anti-inflammatory that helps the heart. Now here are your squashes high in magnesium. Your bananas and coconut milk high in potassium. Here's a pineapple high in bromelain. The blood in the vascular system needs iron. So the blood vessels we see along here and the heart, and we see the blood around here as well. So if we see a blue glow on the outside of the eye, there's poor circulation in the body. Can mean anemia, poor circulation. When we see lots of little brown specks in the eyes, these people have problems with absorbing iron and problems with the liver. If you have a problem with iron, you tend to be exhausted with anemia and fatigue. Excess bleeding with the periods during menopause can cause anemia. Rectal bleeding, urinary tract bleeding, blood in the stools with colitis. All types of bleeding can cause anemia. Varicose veins, broken vessels in the face or whites of the eyes or hemorrhoids can show a problem with the vascular system. Inside the lower eyelids are white. The blood pressure could be high or they could have high cholesterol. These are all vascular problems. So they need to avoid the sugar, caffeine, fatty foods, fried foods, pork. Beets, dark greens, cherries, blueberries, figs, prunes are high in iron. Lose weight if needed. Eat dark greens high in chlorophyll. Drink wheatgrass juice. Cayenne pepper and shepherd's purse help to stop bleeding internally and externally. Balancing the vascular system. Polycosanol is from the bark of the sugar cane, and that has been shown to lower cholesterol. Magnesium helps to lower blood pressure. Licorice root may help to raise lowered blood pressure. Rutin is a bioflavonoid from vitamin C. You can find it at the health store. It strengthens veins and reduces swelling of hemorrhoids. So does cabbage juice. Okay, so these are things high in iron. Your dark foods, dark greens, dark beets, dark green and red vegetables, high in iron. Green cabbage juice is wonderful. Bioflavonoids are in the white parts of the fruits there. Wheatgrass juice, high in chlorophyll, helps the blood. Cayenne improves circulation. It's high in vitamin C. Shepherd's purse can help stop excessive bleeding during menstruation. Okay, we're almost done, but the lymph system has miles and miles of lymph tubes and nodes around the joints. Sodium is the main mineral element in the lymph. So the lymph is out here. Here is a person with very thick, congested lymph. Do you see it smeared here in yellow? This turns yellow over years. It becomes more chronic. Swollen body, swollen joints, aching joints, stuffy nose, congested lungs, especially wheat, milk, and sugar, and table salt. Use foods high in natural sodium, the celery juice, the dark green vegetables. Watercress is a natural diuretic if you have swelling. Herbs that clean the lymph, mullein, echinacea, and elderberry. Vitamin B complex, B6, helps release fluids. They're natural diuretics if you really need it. Exercise, move the lymph. Jump on a mini trampoline, walk, swing your arms. Lymph massage, skin brushing. Here's a swollen lymph node. Jump on your trampoline. Okra is high in natural sodium, strawberries, celery. The adrenal gland, a lot of people have exhausted adrenals nowadays, so they need magnesium. The adrenals right here. Here's the adrenal glands. Now, if you have a weak, stressed adrenal, you want to look for a red tip on the end of the tongue, a rapid heartbeat, overweight, exhaustion, no energy, vertical ridges on the fingernails, falling hair, panic attacks, mood swings, anxiety, salt, sugar, and caffeine cravings. It seems like the weaker a person's adrenals become, the more they want caffeine and sugar because they're so exhausted. Cramping during menstruation, hot flashes. Caffeine, sugar, nicotine, and stimulants of all kinds are harmful to the adrenals. To balance the adrenals, helpful herbs and supplements include blue-green algae, spirulina, bean sprouts, soaked nuts and seeds. Lemon balm is a wonderful herb that soothes the adrenals. Lemon balm tea, licorice root, ashwagandha. Minerals, B complex, calm the nerves. Adrenals relate to fear. So many times when people are rushing and hurrying, they're afraid. They're afraid they're not going to do good enough. They're afraid they're going to be late. They have fear, and they're pumping adrenaline. And that keeps us from going forward in life. You can get there just as well being calm. So we need to learn that breathing exercise I taught you, because if you're breathing properly, it's impossible for your adrenals to go out of balance. It's impossible to have stress when you're breathing slow and easy. Anatomically impossible. So it's important to learn to trust and relax. Deep breathing is important. And when the adrenals are out of balance, it's often due to long-term fear and worry. So say often to yourself when you feel stressed, I am calm, confident, and strong. I am calm, confident, and strong. Here we have vertical ridges on the fingernails, red tipped tongue, avoid caffeine, eat sprouted seeds. Nuts and seeds are the glands of the plants, and they feed the glands of the body. Ashwagandha, kava kava is very calming to the body. St. John's wort. The thyroid needs iodine. If a person has a swelling here, they tend to have goiter. Problems with the thyroid is located here. So here's the thyroid area right there. We also have a deficiency in the adrenal and the pancreas. So to look for a large swelling in the throat, could be goiter, cold hands and feet, underweight, fungus on the extremities. A lot of my clients that have fungus on their toes, I'll check their thyroid. Because if the thyroid is low and sluggish, it's not helping the blood get to the extremities to take the toxins out and the nutrients in. Poor circulation, itching skin, scaling skin, hair loss, menstrual pain, weakened immune system can all come from low thyroid. So to test the thyroid, according to Dr. Broda Barnes, who wrote the book Hypothyroidism, you use a thermometer under your arm first thing in the morning before you move out of bed. And it needs to be between 97.8 and 98.2 for normal thyroid function. If a woman's menstruating, she needs to take the test on starting the second day of menstruation. If it's below 97.8, low thyroid. Avoid sugar and stimulants. So to work to bring the temperature into balance, test each morning. Seaweeds such as dulse, nori, hiziki. We have lots of great seaweeds on the salad bar here. Feed the thyroid. Now, if the thyroid's overactive, a person is very underweight and they're very hyperactive. And lemon balm and motherwort are herbs that calm an overactive thyroid. Always keep the pH alkaline with green juice and calming stress. Singing can help your thyroid. You move energy through your throat. So I tell my clients, sing in the shower. Get a rubber songbook. Sing in the car, especially if you don't want anyone to hear you, but sing. Here's a goiter. People that live near the ocean get more iodine than people that live in the mountains. When I studied in Switzerland, they had a problem with goiter. Nail fungus is a thyroid deficiency. And the fungus can clear up when we clear up the thyroid. Scaling scalp. And that can clear up as well. Clean the body and balance the thyroid. Seaweed. The skeletal system, the main mineral is calcium. And we have a large part of the iris that takes up the skeletal system, the shoulders and the back and the legs. So when we have deficiencies in these areas, shoulders, spine, that has to do with the bones. Lower back, hip, thigh, knee, foot. Broken teeth, cavities, crooked spine, crooked fingers, bowed knees, osteopenia, osteoporosis, arthritis, bone spurs, crystals in the joints. Calcium has come out of the bone from acids. Bones are the main part of the body that hold calcium. Without calcium, our bones begin to deteriorate. Without natural sodium from celery juice and vitamin D, our bones won't hold calcium. So you have to get a balance. Foods high in calcium, all the green vegetables, green vegetable juice has as much calcium as a glass of raw milk, and it can be more easily absorbed. Foods high in sodium include green vegetables, celery, okra, and strawberries. That holds calcium in the bone. So if you're getting green juice, God and nature have put everything in there to hold calcium in the bone and alkalinize your body. Sunshine, you get vitamin D. Almonds are very high in calcium. Almond milk is fantastic. Sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, wheatgrass juice, they're all high in calcium. You can even make your own almond cheese, almond butter. Turmeric is high in minerals, and it's anti-inflammatory. So we are supported by our backs and our skeletal systems. It's important to stand tall and believe in ourselves, have good posture, and do core back strengthening exercises. Don't walk around all hunched over. Stand up. So in the pupil, when the pupil is flat across the top, because the pupil border connects with the optic nerve and spinal cord, if you've had an injury to the top of your spine, the top of the pupil will go flat. If you've had an injury to the middle spine, the side of the pupil will go flat, the bottom down here. So we can see areas of the spine that need adjusting. You see this flattening here? Right here. And that's an area in the cervical spine. The spine connects with all the organs of the body. We have a flattened pupil across the top there. Here's a curving spine. This is my spine when I had the rod put in there when I was a child. Missing teeth. That's a picture of a lady in Tibet photographed by Bernard Jensen. Greens, high in calcium. That was me teaching down in Costa Rica. Wheatgrass juice. Coconut milk. Almonds. Sunshine, vitamin D. Yucca is wonderful for the joints and prevents arthritis. By knowing the foods that help to nourish specific organs, we can feed weakened areas of the body the foods that contain the nutrients necessary for good health. Good health is the result of the way we eat, drink, think, and live. And there's a flower in my garden. Live with joy. Thank you. Okay, so we want to have joy, we want to eat well, we want to exercise, we want to breathe properly, and you just have to get the hang of it. It takes practice, but you can do it. All right, any questions? Yes.
Based on your experience, can genetic degenerative macular disorders be prevented by lifestyle?
Yes, absolutely.
And what would a degenerative macular disorder signify to you with your expertise and background?
That would be a weakening mostly in the connective tissue and the blood vessels of the body. Because in the macula is in the back of the eye. And it's tissue that starts weakening. And when there's macular degeneration, they're not getting enough perhaps natural essential oils such as natural cold-pressed flaxseed oil, enough nuts and seeds. They're not getting enough bioflavonoids to hold those tissues tight. They've been doing something that has been abusive, which can be caffeine or sugar or white flour over a long period of time. Maybe staring into a computer without taking care of the body. There's many things that macular degeneration can signify. Yeah.
Doctors I talked to don't seem to know the cause for the stabbing pain in the eye, which goes very quickly. But do you know what is the cause and what might?
Well, the eye is made of blood vessels, muscles, and nerves. So when there is, perhaps there can be an infection in there or an inflammation pressing on the nerves, causing that sharp pain. So rinse your eyes with water and wheatgrass juice. And if there's any infection, that can help get rid of it or inflammation. And eat the foods here and clean the body, and that can help it quite a lot.
Regarding that, you talked about colloidal silver, and some people have actually used colloidal silver to cleanse the eyes. Do you approve?
I have seen it help people with conjunctivitis, eye infections. Yeah.
What about for edema? Like, for example, like for heat stress detox, I've been experiencing for the first time in years, like
swelling.
Yeah. So I found dry brushing help, but like what if I went on a dry brush with you? What will help?
Watercress, vitamin B6, those are natural diuretics. Are you staying here?
I'm not.
Okay, watercress, vitamin B6 are natural diuretics, as well as juicing the rind of a watermelon. That helps to flush it out. And then also making sure you take care of your kidneys, magnesium, because the kidneys are what are not functioning properly, or the fluids wouldn't be building up. Parsley helps the kidneys.
So if fat grows over the iris, does this also have something to do with the organs?
Yes, it has to do with the liver. The liver not processing the fat, so it starts infiltrating into the cornea. Yeah. So cleaning the liver helps a lot. Any other questions? Yes.
Developing cataract, which is not ripe for surgery, would that be able to be reversed just by the good food and sunshine and everything else?
I believe cleaning the liver is number one in helping the cataracts, because the liver is what's helping to flush the toxins through. And getting plenty of celery juice, high in natural sodium, is a softener. And because when cataracts are hardening, they're getting hardened protein and minerals in there. And so the sodium can help to soften. You may even put celery juice directly in the eyes. It could be helpful. And circulation to the eyes are important, like getting plenty of cayenne in your food. You're welcome. Yes?
Do you treat people with multiple severe food allergies?
Food allergies start in the gut. So that's, maybe they had too many antibiotics as a child that disturbed the flora in the digestive tract. So when the body is not digesting food properly, and it becomes a toxin in the body when it's not digested properly, and the body starts attacking it, and because it thinks it's a foreign object. So then suddenly you have severe food allergies. It can break out in whelps on your body. You can have all kinds of sinus problems with it. And the more you cleanse your colon and get probiotics in your colon, cabbage juice, that can really help with food allergies. Any other questions? Okay, you guys, one more.
Just cabbage juice and not fermented cabbage?
I think fermented cabbage is great. But for things like ulcers or ulcerative colitis or burning, that raw cabbage juice is fantastic. Just pure, yeah. In my experience. Okay, you've been wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm really happy you could come. Thank you.